The story began with the main character remembering that when the main character was little, the village chief's fortune teller predicted that when he grew up, he would wear a yellow robe. As he grew up, he realized that everything she predicted for him turned out to be true. One day, the delivery service began accepting orders, and the main character received a new reminder. And living so desperately every day, sooner or later, Ling Chung must die. At that moment, a truck was rushing towards him, and the driver was shouting for him to leave quickly because the truck was out of control, and he was going to crash into it if he didn't leave. He did not leave and got into an accident, after which he was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. His brother went to him and asked him not to pretend to be dead and to wake up, because he knows that he is alive. The main character, meanwhile, ended up in some strange place, and he had questions about where he was now and whether he died. He was informed that since his career in food delivery had ended unsuccessfully, they had launched a God-tier food delivery system. He was also informed that he would be associated with a system whose certification had been completed. The main character asked if he would have to study even if the heavens fell. He was told that as long as he completed the tasks of the system, he would receive points from the system in the form of a reward, the number of which would be displayed in the system, and which could be spent on acquiring various skills and abilities. The main character did not believe all this and asked what the difference was between all this and a bad lifestyle. He was told that if the task failed or he received a bad review, he would immediately go to the 18th floor of hell. The main character said that he repents. He was further informed that the God-level delivery system had successfully connected to him and was then greeted by the system. Next, he was informed that the introductory training had been successfully completed, so he could already begin receiving and fulfilling orders. At that moment, he already woke up in his body, which was at that moment in the morgue, frightening the nurse. After waking up, he received a notification from the system that he had received a starter gift set. This set included the rebirth of a magic doctor. The notice also stated that after taking this potion, it would eliminate the pain in his entire body and heal him, as well as strengthen his body. And the additional function will add beauty to it. The main character had a question whether he could only see the system, and also said that its design was very bad. After he drank the potion, he really liked it all, and the nurse thought that he was definitely a serial killer. He went on to tell the nurse that he felt fine and that he would be fine. The nurse told him that she would now call the doctor here, and then left the morgue. Next, his system asked him to accept an order awaiting delivery to the specified address where rich people lived. Starting to get up, he remembered that rich people are usually the happiest, and he suggested that after his rebirth, his luck increased, and that is why the very first order came from them. After some time, a girl from a rich family was upset that she was hungry, and the food delivery man was in no hurry to deliver it. Approaching the main entrance of the residential complex, he had a conflict with a security guard who did not want to let him in. At that moment, the main character received a notification that the rich man who ordered food from him had just sent a message saying that if he hurries up, he will receive a tip. The security guard asked him to call the owner, and the delivery man did so, which the girl didn't like very much because she lost the game because of him. The girl, after receiving the call, said that all he had to do was knock on the door, and then said that the waiting time had expired and that he would leave him a bad review, so he better get ready to buy his own coffin. Then the next task came from the system, where you need to suck up to the outstanding mistress, like a dog. As a result, the main character was still able to convince the girl to let him in on the next call, and she said that she hoped that this was not some kind of trick of his, with which he wanted to avoid a bad review from her. The main character at that moment hoped that the system had not deceived him. Otherwise, in order to feed himself, he will have to donate his blood. Before the computer game, she asked him if he really decided to choose a character that was as similar to him as possible and even much more beautiful. The main character realized that this girl seemed to have problems with her eyes, because it was obvious that this character's face was a carbon copy of his, and they looked like twins. She saw the very person who insulted her online and asked the delivery man to make his death humiliating. He said that he was his teammate, so he couldn't let him die. But then he decided to ask the other players to just stand and not stop him from leading them to victory. One of them asked if he felt like he had a 0% win rate in 3,000 games. Another said that this is the same rich girl. The main character began to play with them and fight as best he could. At one point he was told that they would leave a bad review if he lost, but he was no longer afraid of this because he already had a backup plan. He is confident that he will not receive feedback for the reason that at that moment there was an accumulation of power inside the third-party hack program with progress already amounting to 98% at that time. Sometime later, the main character still received the invincibility skill in the game after accumulating strength. Watching further victories with this skill, the girl asked if he was really that good at this game. He confirmed this and said that the most interesting things were yet to come, so it was too early to worry. Another player, seeing his strength, asked him to return the account to the owner because he had already played with her and could now easily determine whether she was playing from this account now or someone else. After 15 minutes, she told the main character that his technique was simply magnificent. He said that if so, then in that case she could leave him a good review for the delivery. She agreed to this on condition. She asked to become a student and said that if he did not accept her as a student, she would leave him a bad review for the delivery. They played all night. He was tired and decided to take her phone from her and leave a good review for himself on her behalf. After that, she kicked him out and said that she remembered him, so someday she will order his home delivery again, and if he refuses to teach her, then she will give him bad reviews all her life. Next, the system congratulated him on his first successfully completed task. After this, the system assistant said that he came to him in order to give him the opportunity to try his luck in the lottery. He played and won the Sounds of Nature skill, which is the highest level of musical singing skills. Someone who has this skill can sing something and touch the listener to the core. Next, he was offered to accept a new order as soon as possible, and he agreed to this. At his destination, he saw a White Swan Club, where at that moment, a gentleman was introducing a girl to everyone present. When introduced, he said that this was one of his girls, whose name was Meng Yun. Young Zhang was told that she was very beautiful, and that his fans would most likely be upset because of such a competitor. She asked him to take his hands off her and asked when she became his girlfriend. He replied that their families, and in particular his aunt, insisted on this, and as she knows, their marriage is a prerequisite for family cooperation. Next, he took her to his friends and introduced her to them. One of them asked her why she was silent and said that this red wine was produced in France and that she should definitely try it. She thanked him for the treat, but she said she wouldn't drink alcohol. Her fiancé told her that Sheng is a very good friend of his, and although he knows that she is very shy, she is his girlfriend, and therefore she should not refuse to treat their already mutual friends. He further said that if she did not want to drink wine, then she could drink the juice into which he had previously added something. She refused this too, and said that she had already ordered regular water. He said that if she didn't drink it, then after returning he would tell his aunt about everything, who might change her mind about them providing her family with such luxurious conditions for cooperation, and she decided to drink. One of the guests said that it turns out that this is the very precious daughter of the Meng family, who looks very good. The girl said that although she is beautiful, she is not romantic, and Zhang Zhang clearly does not love her. Then she approached her and said that she had heard that not long ago she was recognized as the most famous and talented girl in the city of Wuhan, and then asked if she could dance something for them. The girl remembered at this moment that Zhang's ex-girlfriend, who had always been like this and always tried to stir up the atmosphere and make it more tense, had approached her and then told her that she would not do this. At that moment, the main character arrived, and after greeting, he said that he had order 0699 for the guests, which he delivered. The girl was delighted to see him, approached him, took the order, and thanked him for the delivery. Then she still recognized her acquaintance as the main character in the delivery man, and asked why he was here, and at that moment he realized that he was finished. He thought that after school he would never meet this demon again, but fate again confronted him with this demoness. He told her that he also had other orders, so he left after wishing her well. At this moment, the system gave him the first warning that his behavior in this way could lead to a slowdown in the pace of work. He said that it was not his fault. He further recalled his school days, when everyone thought that Meng Yun was the most innocent and kind girl in high school. But in reality, she bullied many boys for no reason at school. In one of these moments, even one of the teachers suffered, due to the fact that the previous day he forbade her to skip classes at school, and the next day, her family's bodyguard beat this teacher. Having told about this case, which was not the only one, he asked the system's assistant if he wanted to send him to certain death, because if he stayed, she would definitely not like something, and they would kill him. The assistant reminded him that the main goal was delivery, so no matter how difficult the task or what kind of person was in front of him, he should meet and leave with a smile. She further asked him if he was okay and why his face was so pale. In the mind of the main character, these questions sounded like whether he wanted to escape and whether he was looking for death. The main character quickly backed down and replied that he was fine. The groom came up and asked her what it was and if they knew each other. He answered this question that he didn't know, and she answered that she knew. They looked at him with a surprised look, and he said that he knew, and added that it would be strange if he did not know the one who was the most beautiful girl in the school and studied in the same class as him. The groom said that he remembered that she studied at Eton Academy in Zhang Dian's class, and asked how it happened that a graduate of a noble academy and the best class of the academy turned out to be a food delivery person. She said that it does not matter what profession he has, whether it is prestigious or not, because the main thing is the spiritual development and education of a person. The main character had a question about how someone like her could say such words, and had she really changed and become a new person. She went on to tell her groom that she wanted to talk to her old school friend about old times. The groom said that there was nothing to be done about it, and since they were old school friends, he could stay. His thoughts at that moment were that he came here to compete for her, but if so, he would crush him to death. Thus, he remained in the company of these people, although he hardly knew her, but for some reason she needed him. The groom's ex-girlfriend said that since a graduate of the best class of the Noble Eaton Academy became the most ordinary food delivery person, then the academy has no right to be called the best academy in China, and this is also because of her. The girl asked not to slander or disgrace the reputation of her native academy. The groom's ex-girlfriend asked in this case to prove the opposite to her by showing her amazing skills. In her mind, she knew that regardless of her status, she was sure that her performance would be bad. The main character thought that if you look at Meng Yun's face, she doesn't allow this girl to disgrace the reputation of the academy, which means she considers it a duty, and if that girl asked for something musical, then now is his time. The main character said that all the students at Eton Academy are talented people and he is considered one of the worst graduates. But even so, he can still show them what even he can do. Before starting, he looked at Meng Yun and realized that she had a kind of depressed look, and if he thought about it, if he sang poorly, then she would definitely leave him a bad review for the delivery. Before activating the nature sound skill, he realized that he was very lucky and did not expect such a useless skill to come in handy so soon. While he was singing, one of the guests wondered why she felt like this delivery man's singing was so familiar to her. Meng Yun thought at this moment that she didn't expect him to sing so well, and she had questions about what was going on and why she felt a little dizzy. She found it strange that her heart suddenly started beating so fast. The guest didn't expect that he could sing so well, like a seductive siren, and thought that if he participated in the Voice of Hua Guo show, he would become the winner. Meanwhile, Meng Yun was getting hotter and hotter, and she didn't understand the reason for this. While everyone applauded the main character, the groom decided to ask why they had gathered around a poor man who had never even been to concerts. Some of them said that Zhang is right, but this performance is truly amazing, and his level is quite good. The main character told him that he was arrogant, and that singing like this was already difficult. But there was something else he didn't like. But he's right, because he's really never been to a concert. He saw that something was wrong with Meng Yun and approached her and asked her what was wrong with her. He felt the heat from her body, and at that moment she asked to be taken away from here as soon as possible. Zhang asked where he was going to go with his girlfriend, seeing that they were going somewhere. He replied that she seemed to have a fever, and so he would take her to the hospital. The groom said that she was his girlfriend, and that only he could touch her. She said that he was not her boyfriend and continued to ask him to take her away from here. The groom asked him not to disgrace him and raised his hand to hit her. He also reminded that the well-being of her family still depends entirely on him. The main character stopped his hand and reminded him that she said that she didn't want him to touch her. After these words, the main character hit him so that it would reach him better. After the impact, the system gave him a new task, which was to deliver the girl to a safe place. The system also congratulated him on acquiring the massacre skill. Then the groom's allies surrounded him and offered him a battle for survival. The groom said that since he was just an ordinary little chicken, he could handle it alone. The main character said that they could attack all together because he wanted to see how they would cope with him. Having seen that the main character could cope with one without any problems, we decided that we really should try to attack everyone together. When he began to overcome them all together, they began to wonder why the food delivery man was so strong. After some time, a notification came from the system that he could now fight as he wished and even create real tyranny. He really liked this notification and liked the fact that she was helping him a lot. He began to lead Meng Yun out of this place after defeating all those who attacked him. One of the overcomers remembered who he was. He recalled how he became very popular overnight due to his gaming skills. The groom was very angry and promised him that he would definitely make him regret his humiliation. The girl said that she was very hot and that her clothes were very uncomfortable. He reminded her that she had a fever and that he should take her to the hospital. He further asked why she was pressing her breasts on him and why she brought him to this hotel. Not far from them, there was a person who was following them, and after photographing them, he realized that the daughter of the Meng family had come to the hotel on a secret date with some outsider, most likely for money, which he planned to announce tomorrow. The main character thought that he needed to bring her to her senses as soon as possible before her brain melted. When he saw the pool, he was happy because the water in it was probably cold and he could throw this hot girl into it. After he left her and she stood up in that pool, he realized that he was too impulsive and that by doing this he only turned her into a dog that fell into the water, which now had to torture him to death. Seeing her swinging hand, He asked to hit her anywhere except her face, and realized that retribution had overtaken the fast delivery from Gugu too quickly. Feeling a soft touch and hearing her ask for help because according to her she was drugged, he brought her to the room and began to tie her up. She asked what he was going to do with her. In response, he asked her to lie still. After tying her up, he decided to leave her here, because it's impossible to go to the hospital, since she could lose all her authority, and he's not yet ready to lose everything he has, because everything is too complicated for the sake of a good review. At this point, a reliable system assistant appeared and asked if I needed to use bonus points. The main character said that he scared him, and he asked him if he could stop suddenly appearing and disappearing like a ghost. Next, the main character asked the assistant if he had any ideas. He replied that he was just there for help, since strong mood swings were discovered in the subject with a high probability of refusing the order. He further provided him with a pill that can reverse the effects of the drugs, and which he can purchase with the 100 points he earned on the previous mission. After reading all the information about her, he remembered that free cheese only comes in a mousetrap and told his assistant that he was a robber. The assistant replied that these drugs are quite strong, and therefore he can either use the pill or sacrifice his body without spending anything. The main character agreed to deduct points, saying that should be treated with The assistant said that, to be honest, he also thought that this choice was really costly for him, but he still gave the pill, deducting 100 points. After taking the pill, the girl came to her senses and asked what happened to her and why she was dizzy. The main character replied that she sobered up, and he gave her water after that. She took the water and asked if he had helped her again. Then she remembered and said that she never thanked him for taking her out of there and asked what he wanted for this, promising to fulfill any request. He gave her phone number. She saw the order and asked if this was all he really wanted, and if she understood correctly that grades were more important to him than money and good work. He responded positively and said that he really enjoyed working as a delivery driver. After a good review, he said he had to go, and about the order he said he left it on the table. He also asked her before leaving next time to stay away from such scumbags, because it's not every day that you're lucky enough to meet such a wonderful food delivery person nearby. After he left, she thought that he was somehow strange, because he had helped her so many times, but had never asked for anything in return, and, on the contrary, continued to help her. The morning after that day, he was awakened by a notification that someone in the game had challenged him. Next, that same rich girl told him that she knew that he would refuse, and that is why she ordered 1,000 takeaway dishes, 100 of which he would deliver. When she called, she also said that every time he taught her how to kill someone, she would leave him positive feedback. After that, he received a lot of orders, and he had a question why she spends so much money on games, even if she has a lot of them. He came to her and said that it turned out that she was not only rich, but also famous. She asked him in what century he last visited the internet, and said that she had already put her claws into the internet for a long time. He went on to say that today he was going to put him in his place in front of 1 million people, because a noob should go with the flow and run away at the sight of him. He also asked the girl how she was able to provoke the evil four-eyed spirit so much that he even challenged a newcomer to the game. She replied that as soon as she remembers him, he immediately starts to piss her off. She further added that she was originally a special guest at the Divine Firefront competition, but this person named Evil Four-Eyed Spirit didn't like the fact that he was helping her and challenged her. She also said that it was for this reason that they now had to defeat the little thing in order to stay in the finals, and asked to teach her to play well, because she herself must defeat the evil spirit. He knew it would be easier to take his body and stick her face on the back of his head, like Voldemort, if they didn't find better equipment. The evil spirit found them while they were playing and said that he had to work a little to get there. The main character killed him, and the girl said that for this, she would immediately give a good review. The girl saw and said that she now had an 8x scope, 98K, a level 30 helmet, and many other interesting things. The main character asked her to be on guard, because this is a teammate of the evil spirit, by killing whom they will give themselves away. He asked her to quickly lie down. She obeyed. They were shot at. And then she said after that they came so quickly that she did not notice, and that they almost hit her right in the head. After that, she said that the equipment was damaged, and they were also in trouble. She further said that she would shoot and asked him to cover her. He asked her to wait, because it seemed to him that something was wrong with their team. She asked what he proposed to do, because if nothing was done, the enemy would be watching the door. He asked her not to ask questions and just follow him. After the next attack, she said that she was so scared that she almost died, but fortunately she had a level 3 helmet. He realized that this was true, because for this Diankalu, defeating them was as easy as shelling pears since he is a cheater. The main character asked the enemies whether this was a fair game, and how to even understand that an evil spirit had found a teammate who was using cheats. Then he remembered that he has a life-worth system in which cheats are useful in all cases. The enemy replied that he was not a cheater, and that the fact was that he simply did not know how to play normally. The main character asked how, in this case, he was able to hit Shu-Er if it was impossible to see them from the position he chose. The enemy replied that he was tired of this chatter and asked him to simply admit that he was scared of experienced players. The main character said that now he will show them how to play correctly. The girl blew smoke with grenades, and the main character asked what she was doing. She asked if he had said that they were cheaters, which is why she decided to do this so that they could not see them. She further suggested hiding in another place and waiting for the toxic smoke to affect them. He said that they too no longer see them, and besides, he did not say that he could not defeat them. She asked what they should do now in this case. He asked her to take the frying pan, hide, and try not to die. The system informed him that his equipment was immune to damage from cheaters for another 45 seconds, so he must use every second. The evil spirit said that this Shu-Er irritates him very much. Dianqilu realized that they use smoke at the wrong time, because the audience already doubts, and they cannot be made to understand that he is using cheats. After some thought, he said that one of the team went upstairs and blocked the passage, and therefore, in any case, the game would end in 5 minutes. At that moment, the main character jumped on top of them, deciding that he needed to kill the most problematic one first, and then everyone else. The main character told the defeated enemies that they would not even be accepted into the Navy with such a reaction. After this, the main character received a notification from the system that the effect of immunity had ended, so he must continue to cope on his own. The main character told the system that it failed the whole case just in time. One of the enemies realized that now, even at the risk of being discovered, he must defeat this delivery man. Otherwise, the evil spirit will no longer recognize his power. He also very much hoped that the delivery man would make him popular and he would make a profit from it. The main character was very excited at that moment because just 1 second will decide who wins and who loses. As a result, the enemy was killed with a misunderstanding of how this could have happened at all. The girl came out to him joyful because this was a complete victory over the enemies, and he said that he thought that she died and asked how she managed to survive. She talked about hiding behind the door, and then without further ado, she grabbed the frying pan and smacked him. After that, she went to the desired zone, but he had already defeated everyone during this time. He said it was great because she was finally making some progress, which he was very happy about. She asked why he grabbed her so tightly, and if he was now using his position to take revenge on her. He said he killed 3 people, so she should hurry up and leave a good review. She asked him to wait while she watched how the stream went and made a decision accordingly. Meanwhile, one of the enemies forced all his friends and acquaintances to comment and write insults against Shu-Er, because they had already become completely insolent. Next, he turned to Shu-Er that she was a vegetable who did not know how to play, and that is why she found a cheater specifically for this game, and after that, he asked her to get out of this game. She replied that he could not admit defeat, and therefore was saying all this in vain. Next, she asked if any of his dog cheats had been seen on the delivery guy. The main character asked if she wanted to do something more important and give him good feedback. And while she was busy with the reviews, he asked the enemy how about resolving all the misunderstandings, because in his opinion, he couldn't consider himself a master by complaining about the girl. He invited the enemy to play again for a bet, as a result of which if he proves that Dianqilu does not use cheats, then he will accept any of his conditions, and also, if it turns out that he is not a cheater, then he will apologize to the audience. The enemy agreed to another game to see which of them was the coward. Half an hour later, the admin of the Divine Front with a firearm announced that during the game, a cheater had been discovered who was violating the rules of the game and that he was the player Dianqilu. After passing the test, the main character and Shu-Er became the winners of the match and received 650,000 gold, and he decided to turn to the system to gain the skill. The system appeared and the assistant announced that he had just received 3 good reviews, so he could get 3 skills. The main character said that he wants the armchair troops to receive a stunning blow to the face. He further confirmed that he had acquired the anti-troll skill, the essence of which is that when a troll on the internet gets personal towards him, an anti-troll will be used, after which 10 blows to the face will be automatically applied. The enemy then began to beat himself at certain intervals in different places and did not understand why he was beating himself. At some point his face was already hurting, but he didn't know how to stop it. The evil spirit began to drive out Dianqilu for deception. The main character said through the screen that there is no need to be afraid of a strong opponent, but rather to beware of an unreliable ally, after which he asked for an apology. He apologized and said that without any evidence, he accused him of cheating, but he himself did not know that he was wrong. The main character accepted his apology and then suggested that he proceed to fulfill his demand. Next, the main character was informed that the official list of invitees to the final had arrived, including him. Then 3 days later, on the final day of the Battle of the War Gods, the protagonist called Xiu. She asked, having accepted the call, if they really didn't let him in. Next, she asked to wait with the evil spirit at the entrance, because she would only be there in 20 minutes. The driver took the phone and said that he should not be afraid of professional players and should not run away before the battle started, because he said that he wanted to win the championship, so he agreed to participate and train Xiu. The main character said that it looked like something had happened, so he would end the conversation and go take a look. Approaching the scene of the incident, he saw that something had happened to the grandfather and that there was still a child near him. He asked one of those present what happened. He replied that this old man suddenly fell and it looked like he wanted to deceive someone. He approached his grandfather further, and the boy said that he suddenly grabbed his heart and fell. The main character realized that this was just a real heart attack from shock. Next, he began asking those around him if there was a doctor or nurse among them who could provide first aid, or at least someone who could call an ambulance. Sometime later, he asked if they really didn't know that a person could die from a heart attack, because no one even called an ambulance. He then asked the system to appear and said he needed first aid skills and medication. The system assistant told him that he could not unlock the skill at will outside of the task. The main character asked why he was restricting his rights, given that human life is more important than breaking the rules. The assistant agreed with him and said that he was the one who made him his master, so he would make saving lives an additional task in which he would have a chance to get a nagata. The main character asked to stop talking nonsense and give him something to save the person. The assistant gave him the power that could save his grandfather and which ultimately saved his life. The grandfather woke up, the boy was happy, and the grandfather himself saw the main character and asked him if he saved his life. The main character replied that since he woke up, he ran, because he had an urgent matter now, and the ambulance would help him further. Grandfather asked him where exactly this urgent matter was and said that he could help him. After some time, the main character, whom everyone had been waiting for so long, came to the gaming room. He greeted everyone and said that he was not here to brag about his moral qualities, because today everything would be decided by the final competition. The main character thanked the one who gave him a lift and said that the match would start soon, so he would go to the others. He also asked to convey wishes to the old man that he gets better. The one who gave him a lift did not want to let him go and also gave him a business card, which the master asked him to give, with which he could come to him if he had any difficulties in the future. They told him that he was 40 kilometers from here and got there in 15 minutes. He was asked if he had learned to fly. He replied that it was the fastest car of his life. And he also remembered that it was quite an interesting trip. Especially when all the cars give way, then in principle you can drive through the red light. Xiu said that this person said something about saving lives and then asked how things turned out this way. Meanwhile, the host welcomed the audience to this final competition of the Divine Front with a firearm and said that the deliveryman, considered the first candidate for elimination, was a little delayed due to helping the old man. Next, he announced the start of the competition and offered to get to know the teams better, and he started with the red team, which took first place in the competition, in which the leader is W God. Next, he moved on to the blue team, in which the main character of this story is considered the head. And to keep things fair, there are random players for both teams. The addition of outside players, according to the presenter, will add complexity to the already established players, because in this competition there are a variety of players, but only one team will win the prize of 660,000 yuan, and they will soon find out which one. After the game started, one said that he had been wanting to fight these professional players for a long time. Another promised to show everyone her current skills. The main character said that he is just a delivery man who wants to win a prize of 660,000 yuan, and that's it. The head of the red team asked everyone not to worry because his team will not be so aggressive for a while, but they all need to survive as long as possible to let the spectators have fun. The main character said that he wants to finish quickly because he wants to get a prize and return to delivering food. A player from the red team said that you need to know your capabilities, and reminded that he was invited only for the amusement of the spectators, after which he asked if he really thought that he could win. The main character asked him not to be so arrogant, because they are strong enough. Xiu confirmed his words and added that all people who look down on the main character will receive a fist in the face. The red team player said that he expressed himself incorrectly and asked him to do his best and show his strength after that. After the game started, the girl said, running with the team to some place, that she felt all the way that someone was chasing them. The evil spirit told her that she imagined it, because there should be no cheating in an official competition. The main character said that technically, outsiders in the team make it difficult for them and the professional team to play, but who doesn't want the 660,000 yuan prize and asked if he was right. The one who listened to him told him that he was indeed right, but their team was too strong to be harmed by others. The girl said that it was true and that they could get whatever they wanted, because now they had pretty good equipment. The main character suggested that the evil spirit hide in the grass and start shooting, but he did not listen, stood up and shot. The main character then said that they had attracted their attention, and therefore the enemies were now nearby, after which he suggested that the evil spirit shoot directly in the head. They ended up killing 20 of their rivals who could have killed them. The red team said that it was very cool, and now they believed that this team of amateurs could really overturn a professional team and quietly escape. After that, everyone in the main character's team attacked the evil spirit and said that if the main character had not shot first, they would already be dead, and all this was because he did not listen to the instructions. The main character stopped the accusations and suggested that they first find the car, because most likely the professional team has already killed almost all the outsiders and they must now graze the big bridge. The evil spirit asked why they should go to that big bridge. The main character replied that this would make it easier for them to overwhelm a professional team. Shuer said that they will hide here, but the enemies may not come here. The main character replied that the bridge is a road that will have to be followed, one way or another. Then he asked me to just listen to all his instructions, and everything would be fine in the end. One of the teams said that in his opinion there is one problem, and the fact that they are professional players does not really matter. He just stands so casually, right in the middle, and therefore anyone within 100 meters of him can kill him. Viewers at this point asked if he watched the game in his free time and said that this was not a joke game with friends, so they asked him not to waste their money and time. Some even decided to leave out of boredom. The main character said that his rivals would definitely come here and they would quickly decide everything, after which everyone would know his strategy. At some point, the main character's team discovered someone who was playing against them and losing ground in every possible way and began to deal with him. Meanwhile, the rivals learned that their agent was dead and then decided to go to the bridge and win the competition. Meanwhile, the presenter said that they are not afraid not only to fight with a professional team, but also to kill a spy on the team. After that, many people liked the blue team and it became more interesting for the audience to watch. The main character said that now there are 5 more teams in the game besides them, and basically everyone must cross the bridge in search of the meadow. He said he plans to take on 5 teams right here. Someone from some team saw the main character in the crosshairs and told others from the team that he was also provoking them. The commander of this team ordered to shoot at him, and since he is so arrogant, this game will end quickly with an outcome that is clear to everyone. They started shooting at him, but he used the skill of 100% dodging bullets and thus avoided injury. The opponents did not understand what kind of manipulation this was because he dodged all the bullets. They had never seen this before and thought it was impossible. One of his opponents came as close to him as possible and said that from such a distance he would definitely not be able to dodge. But at that moment he asked other players from his team to start killing their opponents. One of the players on the professional team said that he already has several plans for amateurs, so an attack of this level cannot harm him. The main character asked if he really wanted to run away, because he had another plan for him with a fatal outcome. The host further announced that the main character fired 14 shots in 2 seconds, killing a small fatty fish, which is considered an incredible operation from a professional-level delivery man, but W-God cannot be defeated so easily. U-God, meanwhile, became interested in what kind of level of play this was. Another player said that this delivery man shoots very fast. The third one added that W-God has seen such fights more times, but he is still afraid of him. Meanwhile, the main character realized where one of his rivals was and asked him, when he approached the right place, not to hide from the others, because they were both still alive. But until one of them died, no one would be able to take the prize. The opponent had a question whether he wanted him to get burned and come under fire. He further realized that it was like he knew he couldn't handle it alone. Unfortunately, this tactic is a little stupid, but he is still alive and will have to face other players. And while he deals with them, he will kill his teammates. The girl asked if they should go and help him. The evil spirit asked her if she knew how to dodge bullets, because if the answer was no, then it was better to help him from cover. Seeing that the main character was surrounded, they decided to kill at least some of those who surrounded him. God, meanwhile, noticed them and decided that it was their time to die. As a result, he killed these 2 assistants from the protagonist's team in an instant. After some time, the host announced that 18 shots had just happened in 2 seconds, which was 1 shot more than W-God. Just after killing his assistants, the main character killed all the outside players. Finally, this exciting moment has arrived in which it will be decided who will be the winner. U-God has already planned his cunning way in which he will kill the main character, which cannot be said about the main character. While he was implementing this plan and shooting without stopping, the main character saw where he was and at that moment shot back at him, which he could not have expected. In the end, the blue team won thanks to the main character, who killed 31 players during the game. After the game, the main character was offered to join another team in order to win the next world championship. The main character refused the offer and said that he preferred to continue delivering food. He understood that the system would not work if he stopped delivering, and it had great potential. One of the main character's enemies was so angry that he even decided to break the monitor, because even the sight of it enraged him. Jung mentally asked the main character to have fun while he can, because soon he will make it so that he will never be able to have fun again. Someone close to the main character's enemy saw the news about his girlfriend's mysterious boyfriend and realized that fortunately he didn't see it. Otherwise, he would have destroyed the whole house already. Next, Jung Xian called his older brother and asked him to help him teach one person a lesson, preferably to death. The elder brother said that this was a trivial matter for him, so he would be happy to help him with this. The groom said that although he is a simple delivery man, he is very cunning. His older brother assured him that he could handle it, because ordinary people only had to run into the wrong person for their normal lives to end. Xu Er and the evil spirit didn't want the cash prize and only took the cup after winning the championship. The main character remembered this and realized that the world of rich people is really boring, and that's why they can spend all their money on games. He looked at the 660,000 he brought home and realized that even if he worked until he died for 20 years, he still wouldn't earn that much. But he cannot refuse the delivery, because for him this is truly an opportunity to change his destiny. Next, an assistant appeared and congratulated him on gaining 100 good reviews, after which the second level of authority was unlocked, at which all previously acquired skills will turn into permanent ones. Now he felt invincible. In addition, the maximum number of skills increases from 50 to 100, and he did not think that the difference between levels was so big. Now he decided that he needed to complete more missions and become stronger. The assistant said that the higher the level, the better the reward, including technology for creating wormholes and weapons against matter. The protagonist replied that he seemed to underestimate him if he had such a thing. After all, this is far superior to the most advanced technologies on Earth and can change the fate of all humanity. But then he realized that his current strength was not enough to cope with such terrible instruments, and they could cause a lot of trouble and a threat to life. The assistant also said that now he can use an expanded lottery, in which there is a chance to receive legendary valuable skills. The main character decided to take a risk and see what the system would give him this time. Fortune was on his side, and he received a blue card with an unprecedented recovery for the first draw. The main character asked to remove it for now, since he doesn't see the point in it. The assistant reported that the card's skills were already in his reserve skills, which could be used in the next task if desired. After this, a delivery notice appeared from Mr. Zhang to the antique store. He drove past two girls, among whom one said that he was an internet celebrity of hot news, the other appreciated him and said that he was handsome. They stopped him, told him they were his fans, and asked him for his autograph. He agreed and left them an autograph. They said they would always root for him. After that, he realized what it was like to be famous, with people paying attention everywhere he went. He liked it. He eventually arrived at his destination, opened the door, and told Mr. Zhao that his order had arrived. One of the people prepared for this ran up to him and did everything so that Mr. Zhao would eventually come out and see one of Huang Tingjian's works of calligraphy and painting damaged. Mr. Zhao came out and asked why there was so much noise. This person said that the delivery person ruined what he had prepared for delivery. The main character said that it was obvious that he crashed into it himself. He told him that in his opinion he simply wanted to refuse compensation. This person said that this work cost 4 million and was commissioned by an important and large figure a long time ago. So either he pays compensation or they go to the police station. The choice is his. The main character said that he did not have that kind of money, but since the work had become dirty, he would help him restore it and ask them to rub their eyes and wait. The system reported that when using the restoration skill, the owner's consciousness would go back in time and spiritually contact the author of the work to ensure the best restoration. They asked him why he was frozen and told him that if he couldn't fix anything, then he should go to the police station. The main character asked not to interfere and to bring him a kettle with hot water. This man agreed and wondered how he could change so quickly, because even his character was different now. After they brought him a kettle and he began pouring water over it, he was asked how boiling water could restore an ancient painting. He replied that just because they had not seen this method did not mean that it was useless. Mr. Zhang was just waiting for the main character to make himself look like an idiot, after which he would send him to the police station. After 4 hours, the main character's vision improved by 20% and stability by 30%, after which he noticed that finally the spots had almost disappeared, and the next step was an equally important point, namely writing everything over again. The subordinate told the master that it seemed that he really knew how to restore calligraphy and painting. The owner said that there is one place that he still cannot restore. The owner remembered that this scroll had already been restored before, but an error was made in the proportions of the alum solution and glue, which would directly affect the result. After he announced the completion, the owner asked if he really called this a correction. After all, he did it without special tools and proper knowledge. He further asked if he thought that by writing 2 hieroglyphs, he could deceive. At that moment, a girl came to the owner and asked if Huang Tingjian's work had been corrected, because grandfather had just asked her to pick it up. The owner told Miss Lin that she had arrived just in time. He said that it had been restored, and they wanted to deliver it to them today, but when his employee left, it got dirty. The girl started screaming that this was her grandfather's favorite piece of calligraphy and painting, who would definitely be furious. The main character told her that he had already restored the work, which she can now see for herself. She asked if he really wanted her to believe him. The employee said he insisted on the repairs and wouldn't let himself be stopped. The owner said that he decided that if he wrote 2 large hieroglyphs by hand, it would be fine. The girl said that she would now call her grandfather and added that they all bear responsibility for this. She told the delivery man and the owner who caused the commotion that Grandpa wanted to see the 2 of them as soon as possible. Seeing Lin's house, the main character realized that grandfather was quite rich, and therefore now it is not surprising that Master Zhao was so scared. Seeing the main character, the grandfather greeted him and told Zhao that this kind man had recently saved him. Having learned about this, the girl asked the main character for forgiveness for her behavior towards him. The main character did not understand, if this is the same old man, then why does he look like a completely different person? After thinking, he said that if he had a bad heart, it would be better if someone accompanied him next time. The girl said that this was all because he left without telling anyone anything about it and put himself in danger and also scared her younger brother. Grandfather said that he just wanted to try to live like ordinary grandparents. Zhao said that although he saved his life, he ruined his favorite work. Ling Lao asked not to hold it and said that since the main character is his savior, there can be no question of spoiling the work, even if he ruins 10 or 100. And in general, it was he who did not initially keep track of his thing. Next, the main character told his grandfather that he should look at the work because he restored it. Grandfather asked if he could really do that. Zhao said it was just terrible because he didn't even have the tools, so he couldn't restore it. Another person approached them and told the main character that if he didn't mind, he would appreciate the quality of the restoration. The master of the rare club Gufon, one of the 3 leading appraisers at the national level, began appraising the item provided by the main character. He checked the degree of similarity of the strokes, the smell of the ink, the color, looked at it from all sides and sighed. Zhao said that he immediately said that the main character ruined everything, because even the master sighs sadly. At this moment, he remembered that there was a place that he could not help but notice. But the master went on to say that this is perfection and that this restoration technique is ideal and the style and mood accurately repeat the original. And with a sigh, he argued that many restoration masters could not achieve the skill of this young man. The main character told Zhao that now he definitely has nothing to say about painting, but he has something to say about the setup, or more precisely, who forced him to do it. Zhao said that he did not understand what he was talking about, because it was he himself who bumped into the assistant and stained the work. The main character recalled that he had already said that it was his employee who encountered him and said that he had never met him before and did not remember annoying anyone from the ancient society, so someone entrusted him with this. Grandfather asked him to tell the truth in this situation, otherwise he would find out his methods. The main character told him that apparently he doesn't know that he likes to shoot videos while working, and showing the phone said that it is very bad to slander another. Zhao said that Zhang Jiang asked him to deal with him, and he apparently wants to go to prison since he is filming everything. The main character said that this Zhang Jiang is acting very low, because he was already a trash who offended girls, and now he has sunk even lower. The main character further asked Zhao to tell that trash that they would see him again, and that he was not a tenant, and besides, the video he talked about earlier does not exist, and he also asked not to forget to leave him a good review. The grandfather asked the main character not to worry, because he had an idea on how to help him figure it all out. The next day, Zhang Jiang was in a team of girls, to whom he told that today he was treating everyone so that no one would rob him out of resentment. The girls saw the card, and realized that this was not bad for someone who signed a big project with Lin. He said that they have the ability to contact the Lin family even if the market itself declines, so the finances are now secure. He swiped his card through the terminal and it reported that his credit card was frozen. The guy blamed them for their terminal being broken because she couldn't be frozen. He was asked to use another card, and he did so with 2, 3, and all the other cards he had, but they all also turned out to be frozen. Next, he saw Lin speaking on TV, who was told that the Jiangcheng New Shopping District project was of great interest to the public and was then asked why he ended his partnership with the Jiang family. He was also informed of rumors that he was trying to take revenge on Jiang Jian's family for personal reasons. He replied that he chooses his business partners based on their honesty and strength. He further said that Jiang Jiang not only maliciously tried to frame an innocent courier, but also evaded taxes, had false invoices, and therefore he was not going to work with such a company. In addition, according to him, the courier they wanted to frame saved him, so there were no personal grievances, and if anyone has any other questions, they can discuss them with his secretary. Further on TV, it was reported that at the moment the share price of the Jiang family company had fallen to the closing level and was now on the verge of bankruptcy. Workers demand wages directly from the head of the company. This time, Jiang's company was completely destroyed by its own owners. Jiang watched this and asked what was going on. What kind of delivery guy? What kind of bankruptcy? He further remembered that this was most likely the same delivery man who had become popular due to his participation in the Divine Fire Front. He realized that if he had not contacted him, he would not have been in this position. Arriving at the most famous game development company in the country, the main character had a question about why there was such a tense atmosphere here. Meanwhile, the developers found a bug and were angry, realizing that the game would be released in 2 days, and if they didn't manage to fix it sooner, the company's reputation would sink, and they would be the laughingstock of the gaming industry. The guy didn't see a way out. But the girl at that moment said that only foreign company B could solve this problem, but they were asking for $10 million for it. The employees said that this was extortion, and that each of them only received a few $100,000 in yuan. They understood that they were stuck, having spent a lot of effort. One of them agreed to go for it. The evil spirit told Meng Yun that he was not going to lie to her, because only a miracle would really help here, since they would not correct the mistake even if they had half a month. At that moment, the main character had a task from Songran, the essence of which was that he needed to correct a bug related to the incorrect operation of the game code with a reward of a rare skill and 100 points. The main character realized that it seems that this mission is quite difficult, since such an unprecedented reward is given for it. The system promised another bonus in the form of converting temporary skills into permanent ones and began downloading programming languages, databases, modeling mathematical functions, and hacking with intrusion protection. He came to the office as a temporary software specialist and understood that although this skill did not make him strong, in some circumstances it could be very useful. The evil spirit, seeing the courier, told everyone that since they had been working for more than 10 hours, they could at least have a snack now. Xiu Er watched the news and realized that this was very bad, because almost all of them were negative and directed towards their company. She could not accept that the only solution was to contact Company B. The courier offered to eat some food first. She saw him, recognized him, and was happy. He said he didn't know she was North Star's PR manager. She said she didn't expect him to become a national internet celebrity either. The main one asked her if it would be possible to postpone the release date of the game, because he could try another way to fix the error. She responded in the negative and said that the rage and expectations of gamers had reached the limit, and that the reputation and credibility of the North Star was at stake. He said that they couldn't do it in 3 days. She replied that she knew this, and that if he, being the best programmer in the country, could not fix this bug, then he needed to call Company B. The main character interrupted them and said that this was clearly a logical error. The chief asked how he determined this, realizing that many of them would spend days and hundreds of attempts, but he determined it in a few minutes. The main character asked the main character if he would believe it, if he said that he made such a conclusion based on code that relies on the analysis of compilation errors. He further said that he realized this by looking at the point at which he pointed his finger. The chief asked if he really understood it, realizing that he understood the code in a way that none of them could understand it, but later he refused to believe that there was a second genius in this world besides him. The girl asked if he had any idea about solving the problem after identifying its root. He replied that it would not be difficult to correct this mistake. Other workers began to talk about how Boss Song and Manager Meng were probably crazy for placing their hopes on this delivery man, and they also said that they were disappointed because of all this. Boss Song asked them to shut up, because if they could see the problem in a few minutes after viewing the compilation of the program code, then he would consult them instead of the delivery man. He further told the main character that since he says that he can help find a solution to the game's code problem, then he can tell them about it in more detail. Meanwhile, in the server room of Company B, the workers said that it was too early for the Polar Star to relax, because all the fun was yet to come. The main character said that the Achilles heel of this game is that the best equipment currently available does not allow you to control it, but at the same time does not allow you to optimize the game. The boss said that he was absolutely right and that no one could write such a perfect algorithm. He also added that they abandoned some of the game's functions, but were still unable to figure out one bug. As soon as the main character sat down to fix it, at that moment the system was hacked and the security system was not activated. At the same moment, the girl received a call from Company B and asked if they were going to turn to them for help. The girl replied that 10 million is not so much, but she needs it in installments. The boss of Company B replied that since they had wasted their time by refusing the first time, they would have to increase the fee by 50%. The girl said that she would think about it and report a decision a little later. The boss of Company B thought that time was running out and after today the price might even rise, because now the internet is against them, and if they don't correct the mistake, the authority of their company will collapse and the company will go bankrupt. The main character reported his assumption that the hack was somehow connected with Company B, which demands them to pay a high fee. Plus, even the timing is perfect, but whether this is true or not, they will now find out. Having discovered the hacker's address, they saw and realized that it looked like what they had actually done. The main character said that he made a trap to catch all hacker attacks and return the game to its original state, after which their data will be completely exposed. Meanwhile, Company B had a problem, which they reported to Mr. Childs, because their company's system suddenly suffered an unknown hacker attack, as a result of which data was lost. Mr. asked to deal with it right away, but was told that they could not eliminate this hacker attack, causing Mr. to become afraid. Boss Song told the protagonist that this was a good job, and that he would ask the people from the legal department to deal with the matter later, so that they would not contact them again. The main character then announced that the system error had been fixed and that the game was ready for testing. After everyone was convinced of this after testing, the employees who were against the idea of allowing the delivery person to code said that they were wrong and that they should not have doubted God. After all this, the main character left, and after some time the girl called him and asked if he could pretend to be her boyfriend tonight and help her set up a blind date at her house. He replied that it was simple, and that she could provide it to him since he was the best in the business, but first he had to deliver the order to Beika University, so they could meet there at 2 o'clock. Arriving at the university, he realized that there were indeed young girls studying here worthy of the reputation of Beika University. After the girl came up to him and hugged him, he asked her if she knew Jo Shin, because he was supposed to deliver an order to the basketball court, but he had not left yet. She replied that she knew him and eventually brought him to him. The main character approached him and informed him that his order had arrived. He said that their team did not have a replacement, after which he asked him to help him in the second half. He also added that he knew he was asking too much, but they had been training for this match for 6 months, and because of his injury, the team would have to admit defeat, not to mention the shameful tactics that the other team was using. After issuing and through the system also the mission, he suggested that if this was in fact just an amateur game, then he could give it a try. Meanwhile, the rivals said that their team could not even get a normal replacement and were in vain hoping for some courier who supposedly could change something. After the start of the game, the main character realized that they really underestimated their opponent, but this did not matter. The one who invited the main character to the game remembered that he claimed that he was not particularly good at basketball, but while watching the game he sees that his game is not at all similar to the one in which a beginner would play. After an amazing game, in which the main character helped the team he was invited to win, the girl offered to go to a dark place where she would give him a good gift. He told her that he already had some things to do, so he couldn't go. She said that there was nothing wrong with having an affair with a student in exchange for a mahjong joke. Next, Shu Er came up and asked if they had agreed to go on a blind date and who was the girl next to him. He introduced Meng Yun to that girl as a classmate from middle school and said that her family was forcing her to go on blind dates, so she asked him to pretend to be her boyfriend to reject their assumptions. To Meng Yun, he introduced Xia Shuer as the student he met in the game. She is a little naive and straightforward, so you don't need to be offended if her words seem rude. Xia Shuer said that if that's the case, then they don't really look like a couple in love. Meng Yun said that Miss Xia is indeed a little naive and looks like her sister from elementary school. The main character felt that the atmosphere around them was becoming more and more tense. The girls asked him whose side he was on. He replied that he preferred to take a neutral side in the current situation. After Xia Shuer decided to leave first, Meng Yun said that they had finally gotten rid of this girl. The main character asked if he remembered correctly that her blind date was about to begin. She answered positively. Then they went on a date, which was attended by Xu Liang, who told her that she looked even better in person than in photographs. She thanked him for this compliment. The main character wondered if this was the same investor who invested in the business week. At that moment, he asked who he was. The girl replied that this was her boyfriend, after which he asked why she needed him then. The girl replied that she did not want to tell her family about her boyfriend yet and asked to keep it a secret. Shulung asked the main character what he does because his outfit is not expensive. The protagonist responded that he has a day job and that it cannot match his daily investment estimates of tens of millions of dollars. Shu Liang asked if they knew each other. The protagonist replied that he monitors the financial situation from time to time and has a fairly good reputation, but looking at the Jiangcheng CBD project, he should be careful about investing. Shu Liang realized that apparently this guy is some kind of big shot and he seems to know something, so it's better not to spoil the relationship with him for now. Shu Liang said that it seemed like they were forced to go on a blind date because of family, but since the two of them really loved each other, he would still help them and asked if they would like to talk more about the project. At the same moment, the main character received a notification about an order for processing. Hearing this, Shu Liang asked the girl if she wanted to say that instead of having a relationship with him, she would rather be with the poor courier. The main character asked him if he was turning against him simply because he found out what he did for a living. After all, if this is so, it turns out that he is not as wise as rumors circulate. Shu Liang said that wisdom was created for the worthless, and then asked the girl if she wanted to change her mind, because they suit each other so well, and her appearance matches his taste. The girl called him a hypocrite, slammed food in his face, and asked him not to touch it. Shu Liang shouted at them that they were crazy. The main character asked him to behave decently in public. Shu Liang replied that he was sick and that he had no right to lecture him. At the same moment, someone called him and, addressing him as a manager, said that according to sources, Company A had just decided to invest $1 billion in the Jiangcheng CBD project. He replied that he would be right back. The manager told the two that he would deal with them later. The main character asked the girl why she suddenly became so brave, and whether families like hers were not afraid of losing their reputation in front of each other. The girl replied that the manager is not as stupid as Zhang Jiang, and he will put up with everything that brings him profit. But she learned this from him. He was surprised, and she added that he was never afraid of rich and powerful people, and was always cruel to injustice. She also said that whoever it was, from now on she will also not tolerate such an attitude, because answering them is so fun and so refreshing that you want to do it more and more often. She also added that she did not expect to spend so much time on the manager, and then asked if he could help her choose a gift for her grandfather's birthday. He answered positively. She further told him that it was all thanks to him, because he has good taste in choosing things, and she is sure that grandfather will like it, so he can do whatever he wants. He said that he simply had a wide range of hobbies, but he was flattered, after which he also thanked her for such words. After that, they left the building and she said that the traffic jams were heavy and she needed to hurry to her birthday, otherwise she would be late. He said that he could give her a lift on his motorcycle to the place, but without the family seeing him. During the trip, she asked for forgiveness for disturbing him frequently. He said that there was nothing wrong with that because they were good friends, and he also said that they would arrive in 3 minutes and that she would be in time. Then they drove quietly, and he asked if it was because of the cold that she became quiet. She answered negatively. He said after that even if she was cold, she still couldn't bear it much because they were almost there. He brought her to the right house and off she went. They saw her and began to discuss her relationship with the courier. The girl asked Shu Liang what he was doing here, since he was not invited to her house. He asked her if she really thought that he was uninvited, and then said that as an important business partner of the Meng family, he couldn't miss the party. The main character looked at this and realized that the bad thing was that he couldn't hear anything they were talking about. Grandfather stopped discussing her relationship and told her that he did not listen to all these conversations, but Shu Liang told him that she insulted his dignity with that courier and also dared to throw cake at him, which he considers outrageous. The girl told him that it was not the courier's fault that she threw the cake at him, because it was all because Shu Liang behaved outrageously. In addition, the courier helped her choose a gift for him. The main character realized that nothing good would happen if he left her here alone, because he couldn't let her listen to all this and decided to go there. The system assistant at this moment reported that his anger had been detected, causing him to launch a special mission to prove Shu Liang's meanness and gain grandfather's favor. The main character approached them after that, greeted his grandfather, said his name, and also said that he would like to clear up some misunderstandings about him and his granddaughter. He further added that he had been courting his granddaughter since he was a student, and it took her a long time before she finally agreed to give him a chance. But all other terrible rumors are Zhang Jian's meanness. Many of those who were in the club at that time confirmed this, and the grandfather pointed to the motorcycle. The main character explained that he gave her a ride because there was a traffic jam on the road, and he also said that he did not intend to come to their family's party. Next, he asked to accept the gift as a sign of his knowledge and congratulated him on his birthday. He bought this gift in the system for 100 points. Grandfather said that he did not believe in a health drink that could make a person beautiful, and also said that this was a lie. The granddaughter told her grandfather that she could vouch for the main character, because it was he who solved the problems with the North Star crisis of tens of millions of dollars. Shu Liang pushed the main character and asked him to move away, after which he told his grandfather that although they had not worked together very much in the past, he hoped to work closely with him in the future and invited him to look at his gift. Grandfather looked and said that he didn't really like it and started coughing after that. The girl said that he seemed to be aspirating again and that this happens when he is very nervous, after which she asked for water. Grandfather began to drink the protagonist's gift, but Shu Liang snatched it from his hands and threw it away with requests not to drink it because he could poison him with it. And he told the main character that this was revenge for the cake. Next, he asked to see that the grandfather was ill and asked to call an ambulance as soon as possible. Grandfather stood up and said that he felt better and that his heart no longer hurt, and that now nothing was stopping him from breathing. He rejoiced at the relief. Feeling rejuvenated, the grandfather asked the main character how much he spent on this medicine and whether this is really what couriers can afford. The main character replied that delivery is just his hobby, and in general he has no shortage of money. Next, the grandfather told Shulian that in his opinion, a health product is more expensive than this thing, because no amount of money can buy health. In addition, he is a person who does not like bright and vulgar things, because they irritate him. Shu Liang asked his grandfather what he thought about him giving him Wang Yiji's autograph for a few days to make amends. Grandpa said he always wanted to see him. The main character realized that it seemed that it would not be easy to defeat him, given that his grandfather's favorable impression of him was 40%, and of Shu Liang's 60%. Next, he remembered the renewal and asked the system if this skill could correct modern objects. The system assistant replied that updating skills to version 2.0 would fix modern items, provided they were expensive enough. The main character took a kettle of boiling water and began pouring it over Shulian's gift. At that moment, they asked him what he was doing, because it was boiling water. Shu Liang asked if he thought it was okay to pour boiling water on a piece of jewelry worth $8 million, since he wouldn't be able to pay for it all even if he sold it. The main character said that he thought it was unacceptable to give the elder a defective decoration for his birthday. After all, on this side the surface is sealed with wax in order to hide cracks that are visible only when heated. He further said that real gold is not afraid of fire, but yellow iron, even without fire, oxidizes after 2 months. He also said that even if 4 zeros were removed from 8 million, he could even afford to deliver food for $800. He also added that he just wanted to teach him a lesson. Grandfather said that you need to know a lot and be able to see such things, and it seems that he underestimated him. He then told him that he took back what he said about him being an internet celebrity, which made no sense. He also said that if he wants to prove to him that he is a young man worthy of his granddaughter, then he is ready to give him a public company with a market capitalization of $5 billion, where he will be the CEO. The main character realized that, as expected from their family, they are a company whose shares are valued on the stock exchange and decided that he needed to get rid of him without losing his advantage. Shu Liang said that if he allows his granddaughter to be with him, he will never be able to run a public company, but if he really wants to choose between the two, then he can send a small company to test the waters. The protagonist told Shu Liang that he had already checked his financials and saw that he had repeatedly encouraged clients to buy funds at high prices and then maliciously shorted all the shares to make a profit. He also added that he got away with it and did all the work legally, hiring many workers to change the bad reviews of the industry. Market manipulation is also considered deception. Shu Liang hit him and said that he must have evidence, because with this he will not stand up against him in court. While Grandpa decided to look at everything, the main character said that Offament Shubi Nanshan is completely just a layer of holding wallets, and the actual controlling shareholder of the manufacturer is Shu Group. Grandfather hit Shu Liang and asked him how he could do something so vile. At this moment, the granddaughter decided to brighten the situation and turn on the song that the main character sings. Grandfather asked if he really sang this song. The granddaughter confirmed and said that he once sang at the White Crow Club to help her, and it's hard to believe that someone else didn't hear him, because this was the beginning of his popularity on the internet, and he didn't do all this intentionally. Shu Liang asked if he paid the waitress to play his own song, and if he wanted to impress. The girl attacked him and said that she was the one who asked the waitress to put him on, and the audio link was sent from her phone, and he is a liar, and she will not allow him to insult him. The main character told her that he would never have thought that she was the one helping him. She replied that this is because she is now his fan, and now she needs his voice, not his body. Grandfather said that everything became clear to him, that it all started because of stupid labels and mistrust, and added that he was very sorry, and that he hoped that he was not angry with him for this. He decided to give the company to him in the end. Song said that there is no need for this, because he will create a company with him and he will have all the information. He also guaranteed that he would earn hundreds of millions per month. Grandpa Lin, who was saved by the main character, said that he also wanted to give him some companies for entertainment, and asked Grandpa Meng if he was trying to destroy him. The main character couldn't believe that they were all here and that they all wanted to help him. Grandpa Meng said that he's very wonderful, but he should probably worry about whether he likes his granddaughter. The main character said that his internet celebrity status is not what he dreamed of, but he cannot stay away from his fans, and yet he ensures that he will treat his granddaughter well. Grandfather Meng said that he had no idea that he would turn out to be such a wonderful young man, and that the only thing more important to him than the reputation of the family could be the happiness of his granddaughter, and he was glad that she was with him. The main character realized that this was not bad because he turned out to be a very good grandfather for his granddaughter, and moreover, he eventually achieved 100% of his grandfather's favorable impression of him and proved Shulian's meanness. After that, Meng Yun led him to his motorcycle and thanked him as he said goodbye for helping her deal with all the troubles. The main character said that he was sorry that this happened because perhaps he went a little overboard with public recognition, but when she meets someone, he will pretend to be a bad guy and she will leave him and then everyone will be happy. She promised not to do that and thanked him again. Meanwhile, he didn't understand what the point of it all was because he'd screwed up anyway. When leaving, he asked to leave all the couriers good reviews as a thank you, because this business is not easy for everyone. She began to fulfill the request, and she wondered if he was sincere in saying that he would treat her well no matter how many people were chasing him, because if that was the case, then she wanted to be with him. Shuliang realized that he had relaxed too much and neglected such important information that could have been useful. He further remembered how he told some girl that Zhang Zhang had been abandoned by the Ling family, and it looked like his project would fall into his hands. The girl congratulated him then and suggested that they celebrate and do something fun. He further decided that he really had to find a way to get his hands on this Jiang Cheng project. He further remembered Ling Hai, Old Man Meng, Gu Feng, Song Ran, and how the protagonist was competing to contact some of the top figures of Jiang City and realized that those who held a grudge against him were small fish. In his opinion, only one Zhang Jiang remained, and in the end, a thin camel is still larger than a horse, and therefore he should be at least somehow useful, because it is known that his grandfather was a ruthless man. Meanwhile, some boss Zhang Jiang told him that he should get out of here, because he would not have hired him if he were not so young, and in addition, also crippled. But from the very first day of work, he only caused problems with clients. The boss also said that he doesn't even seem to know how to smooth out conflicts and is a piece of crap. Xu Liang eventually approached Zhang Jiang and said that they had not seen each other for a long time. He asked what he was doing here and whether he decided to laugh at him. Xu Liang replied that he misunderstood him, because he was about to be beaten by the main character and that it hurt him to see what was happening to him, and that's why he was here to help him. Zhang Jiang asked not to try to trick him into taking a bullet for him, because he is working on his own. Xu Liang realized that he has become smarter, and it seems that bankruptcy has changed him a lot, but this is even to his advantage. After some thought, he asked if he really liked being a former nobleman, now a dishwasher. He also added that if it weren't for the main character, his family would not have gone bankrupt, and everything would have been fine with his leg. He further asked if he wanted to be restored and make the main character disappear forever. Zhang Jiang said that the main character clearly has some kind of magical powers, and is now friends with the Ling and Meng families, and then asked what he could do with him. Xu Liang realized that he seemed to be constantly watching the main character and looking for all possible ways of revenge, after which he asked if he had a grandfather who clearly would not allow anything to happen to his grandson. Zhang Jiang responded in the negative and said that he was just crazy and their family had nothing to do with him. Next, the story moves on to the main character, who received a call from his boss and said that since he is now the most famous courier in their Gugu takeaway, he can go to the beach with a promotion from the company this Thursday. The main character asked if he had to work on Thursday. The boss promised to give him 3 days of paid vacation and another bonus of $10,000. Meanwhile, the girl received a call and was asked to go to a meeting with the special guest, Gugu Takeaway, to which she agreed. They both came to the beach, and when he saw her, he realized that she still had big breasts. She came closer to him and asked if he also came to the event, because it was a great coincidence. He realized that she had turned from an angel to a succubus, and that her swimsuit and herself were simply gorgeous. Next, Shu'er asked to take more photos because everyone should look good since this is the first time that Gugu Takeaway is collaborating with the game company Meng, and she asked her to further raise this news to the top. Meng Yun knew that fortunately, she was smart enough to foresee this because she had been following this girl's schedule for a long time. She went on to ask the main character if he could join her for today's event. Unfortunately, the praying mantis catches the cicada, and another girl came up to the main character and said that she had finally seen her idol live, not noticing Cheege behind her. She went on to say that her name was Rose and that she had been following him for a very long time. She also imagined her friend Zhang Xiyao standing next to her. She further offered to team up with them to participate in some event, because with the goddess Yao the team will be stronger. Shu'er came up and asked the girls not to pester him, because she was better suited for him to work in a team. Meng Yun said that the one who came first will be with him, and obviously it will be her. The boss approached him at this moment and said that the event was about to start, so he should follow him to prepare for the stage. He also asked Shu'er and the other two to get to work quickly. The main character, meanwhile, was grateful to the boss for saving his day. On stage, the boss said that everyone seemed to be delighted with the courier and added that their Gugu Takeaway was founded 3 years ago and that he thanks everyone for the continuous delivery of orders 365 days a year. He further suggested moving on to the event and said that 2 people with the same number will form one team. They must cooperate to deliver the order to a designated destination on a cruise ship 500 meters from the beach and remove the flag, after which victory will be theirs. This time, a bicycle catamaran is used for transportation, so the teams can interfere with each other. After the terms were announced, the boss announced the start of the event. He told the main character that he must win, because in this way their company will gain greater fame and commercial value, and he will eventually give him 5% of the shares, which is a tempting offer. The main character thought that 5% is certainly good, but he can earn more money in any field. And despite this, he will take this free task and take number 11. Shu'er decided that she couldn't leave the main character alone with the other girls again, and that the problem of rivalry at the source needed to be resolved. She asked Heaven to help her and bless her with number 11. But it was not her who was lucky, but Zhang Xiyao, which made both girls very upset, but despite this, they decided to continue smiling. Meanwhile, they took out number 8 and Shu'er was furious, because if she is not on the same team as him, then she is on the team with her. Zhang asked the main character to take care, because these would be the last minutes of his life. But he didn't hear him, and at the request, took his starting position. After some time, the competition finally began, and they all started. The main character was supported by saying that God must win. One girl asked the other to work harder, because of her they could not catch up with the others. Another asked if she had much time to complain about a teammate, since it was better to pedal than to talk. All the players in the after are like arrows that were launched in an instant, and they are truly the best of the best. And as soon as the game began, fierce competition broke out. And so far Chen Bo and Yang Wei are in the lead. Right behind them are the Vortex brothers from the Fengcheng region, Miao Hu and Miao Bao, and their popular king, who is currently ranked 3rd. Zhang Xiyao asked the main character for forgiveness for delaying him, because this way he would not win the title of representative. He told her that everything was fine because participation was important, not victory. The judge said that judging by the speed of the protagonist's pedaling, he seems to have reached his limit, but he cannot win alone, since there is a girl next to him who is not trying very hard. The boss got upset and realized that he had a bad idea after all, sending teams of 2 people. The main character ended up taking 3rd place and no miracle happened. The boss looked at it and couldn't believe it was getting so much media attention, and he also realized that he needed to put up even more posters and notices. Meanwhile, Shu Liang said that the team of reporters he hired had already arrived, and if the main character loses the match, then in 10 minutes the whole world will know about it, and they will begin to despise him. On the phone, he asked if everything was ready. Zhang replied that there is nothing to worry about, because the first 2 are under the drugs that he gave them, and now they are stronger than a bull in the heat. The main character will not be able to keep up with them even on a rocket, and he saves the best for last. Zhang Xiyao told the main character that they could still speed up and then they would definitely not win. He said it was a great coincidence because he could speed up too. After all, the system freed up his ability for water sports, namely strengthening the strength of his leg muscles by 150%. Shu Liang saw the acceleration and realized that it looked like the main character was joking. Zhang also didn't understand how it worked and how he could speed up like that. The judge announced that it turned out that the main character was gaining strength and decided to speed up in the final stage, which made the audience delighted. The main character was able to overtake all those who were ahead of him. The main character said that it was great, and that this was exactly the game he wanted to see. Zhang Xiyao understood that he was so concerned about victory and defeat, but at the same time, he said that participation is important, and this, in her opinion, is hypocritical. She also realized that he was just an internet celebrity who was trying to deceive himself. Xu Liang told Zhang Jian that he needed to start killing now, otherwise it would be too late. Meanwhile, the judges saw that the main character and his partner fell into the water, and it looked like he was electrocuted due to the fact that he collided with a jellyfish. None of the surrounding participants even stopped to help. The main character at that moment realized that his body was completely paralyzed and he could not move. The protagonist asked the system if there was any way that could quickly eliminate the electric shock. The system assistant replied that there is a package for restoring muscle function that costs 300 points. The main character confirmed the exchange. The rescue boat is heading towards it, but it looks like they are also having problems causing it to be delayed. The judge said that more than a minute had passed since the two participants fell into the water, and they still had not emerged from the sea, so it must be inevitable. Xu Er said that they could only pray for another miracle to happen. Zhang Jiang said that there could be no miracle, because this electric discharge contained 30,000 volts, and he bought it on the black market at a very high price. It was previously used to kill Siberian bears. But a miracle still happened, and the main character came to the surface of the water. He emerged gracefully with the grace of a professional swimmer. The main character returned to the cycling catamaran and asked the system assistant to also give a muscle recovery package to Zhang Xiyao too, despite the fact that after this, he would only have 400 points left. Then he decided not to give up, and despite the fact that he was the last one left, he still went to the finish line. Zhang Xiyao emerged from under the water, and it all seemed strange to her because just now she could not move her body, but for some reason she suddenly gained strength again. But she began to drown again. He assumed that it was most likely because of the cold sea that she was having convulsions, and he decided to save her. He gave up the race, turned 180 degrees, and swam towards her. Then he pulled her out of the water, and observers were shocked by such an event. Then the judge saw that he turned around again, and it looked like he still wanted to continue the race. The judge said that the participant in first place is only 100 meters from the finish line, and the main character is 800 meters away, and in any case, he will not be able to catch up with the first participants again. Zhang Xiyao told the main character that the judge was right, and that there was no need to chase, because if he gave up now, it would not be a loss. He said that now he will definitely reach the finish line. At some point, he had already reached 5th place and took it, but he did not stop there and decided to take first place at any cost. As a result, the game ended. Chang Bo and Yang Wei were congratulated on winning the championship. The team of Miao Bao and Miao Hu took 2nd place, and unfortunately, despite all efforts, the main character was unable to overcome such a distance and took 3rd place. Xu Liang was scared to death because of all this, but the little monster on drugs was still able to change the situation. Zhang Jiang asked the reporters not to stand like a pillar because he paid them to report the news now, because he wants the whole city to know that the main character has lost. They carried out the order, and everyone learned that the main character had lost, and they didn't really believe it. Xiu Er said that the media was dishonest because they did not tell him exactly why he lost. She also asked if Billion's pharmacy was open now. Meng Yun said that such media always take things out of context in order to attract attention. Zhang Xiyao told the main character that she was very sorry that he lost because of her, and that her fellow journalist put everything in too bad a perspective. She went on to say that upon her return, she would explain the situation to the editor-in-chief and do everything in her power to save his reputation. He said that there was nothing wrong with it and asked me to just have fun. Xu Er became very angry after she saw, in addition to text news, a video from the competition. In one of the news, it was said that the race simply did not go according to plan because someone installed a stun gun on the protagonist's bicycle catamaran. The two of them were electrocuted and fell into the water. Then after that, he went out and returned to the race, and later also helped his partner return to the race. Xu Liang saw this news and became angry and realized that he should have spent more money on the media because they were the only ones who were against him, while the others, meanwhile, were simply praising him. Then, at the same moment, everyone saw that the competition participants had fallen, and they began to call a doctor there. The doctor came running, examined them, and reported that they had all gone into cardiac arrest due to an overdose of stimulants, and therefore they immediately needed first aid. The judge then said that since the first two groups of participants cheated, the tournament organizers decided to deprive them of their results. Therefore, the winner of this water race is the undisputed king, the main character and his beautiful partner, Zhang Xiyao. Zhang Jiang realized that the main character is still a godsend, but if he meets the person he knows, he will go straight to hell forever. Zhang Zhang and Shu Lian came to prison to see Zhang Xiaolong, who said that because of them, he had been disgraced. Zhang Zhang told his grandfather that he was to blame and then asked him to do something about this guy. Grandpa said that he would personally call the Black Wolf and tell him to kill this guy. The girl turned to him as a godfather and said that the main character had such a reputation in society that she wanted to see what he was capable of. The father agreed and said that she would personally command. He also told her that since she was here, she should first let him test how good her skills were. She asked to wait a little, because the children were still here. He ordered them to get out of here. They agreed and then left. Shuliang said that he now understands why he didn't come to him earlier, and that this is not bad for a person who united 23 mafia gangs in the past, being truly dangerous. Zhang Zhang said that if Grandpa gave it to the Black Wolf, then they would just have to wait until the boys called to take the body. He also said that before he died, he still had to taste defeat. Zhang Xiyao then called the main character and said that she would like to thank him for saving him, so she invites him to dinner tonight and asked him not to forget about it. At that moment, he thought that even though at first she treated him rather coldly, he was still grateful to her. After that, on the way, he met the same girl who was with Zhang Xiaolong and asked him for help, saying that she was being pursued by bad guys. He took out his phone and asked her not to worry, saying that he would call the police now. She said that this was not necessary and that she lived up there and he could just walk her home. He agreed to take her, and off they went. She said it would be faster to get there by motorcycle. She said that they would go on foot, realizing that if anyone saw him with her on a motorcycle, they would start a scandal again. She further said that he is a good and kind person. He said it was the least he could do. They approached the house and he asked if she really lived here. She answered positively and said that her parents rent an apartment closer to the school. She also added that he could get up and rest. He refused, and saying that he had a date, began to leave. She started to pull him and asked him to go anyway. He realized that she was strong. Reporters followed them and immediately posted the news that the main character had rented a room in a hotel for lovers and went there with a minor. After entering, she thanked him for seeing him out and offered him something to drink. He refused, reminding him of the appointment, and decided to leave. She didn't let him go and pulled him so that he fell on top of her. After that, she began to scream, ask for help, and also asked to catch the pervert. The police immediately came to them and said that they had seen a break and enter with an attempt to commit a crime, so he should come with them. After some time, the police took him out of the hotel in handcuffs and led him to the car. It was reported on television that the main character was arrested this afternoon for attempting to sexually assault a fan, and according to the police, he faces 10 years in prison if the case turns out to be true. Zhang Zhang said that when Brother Wolf made his move, he instantly corrected the situation and finally caught this guy. This is really unusual, and he wants to see how he handles it now. Shu Liang said that as expected, Brother Wolf is the rightful leader of Jiangcheng. The wolf said that 10 years was too short, so he asked that this guy be locked up for life. Meanwhile, the investigator asked the main character how many other people were violated besides this girl. The main character said that compared to this, he was more curious about who asked him to arrest him or who arranged for him to wait there. He answered him that it was none of his business. The main character at that moment realized that the stun gun in the offshore race belonged to competitors. But now it seems that someone is trying to frame him and therefore he needs to find it, because he is sure that this cop knows something. The main character then asked if there was a mission that would help him get out of this. The system assistant replied that there were currently no missions and that it was recommended to use the skills already learned. Next, he asked the system to report his current skills and scores. The assistant displayed all available skills on the screen. The cop at this point said that he asked him to answer questions honestly and not talk nonsense. The main character saw the skills and realized that unconsciously he had already learned a lot of things, thanks to which now all it would take was a good plan to deal with this guy. The cop said he doesn't think he'll tell the truth until he feels pain. The main character told him that he regretted it, that he saved a lot of money when he was an internet celebrity, and that it was a shame that it would be confiscated when the warrant came, but he would like to ask him for a favor. Next, he asked him how much money he earns a year working in his profession, and without waiting for an answer, he said that he just needed to find a reason to bring him back, for which he would give him all the money. One of the police officers approached the interrogation room, and not finding the main character, asked his partner where he was and why he left. He replied that he seemed to say that he had gone with the chief to get important physical evidence of innocence. Along the way, the main character said that if he wants a little fame, then it's enough just to take part in events, because fees for appearances amount to tens of thousands. And he asked the officer if $500,000 was enough for him. The officer replied that this would be enough and that he would take care of all the formalities, after which he would be acquitted tomorrow. The cop thought it was a good try, and that after receiving the money he would put him in jail for 3 years for disobeying a lawful order of a police officer. The main character said that they had arrived and asked to stop the car. The cop said he scared him to death and that he knew exactly where his house was. The main character said that he did not need to go home, because the ATM was where they were staying and that he would withdraw money from it. The cop released him, removed the handcuffs, and asked him to hurry up with the money before they went back to the police station. The main character asked the system to activate the invincible combat skill. The cop asked him what he was mumbling about. The main character asked who ordered them to capture him. The cop asked if he was making fun of him, and then asked him to quickly get the money. He beat up a police officer, and at that moment he asked him how dare he attack him. The main character said that his patience was running out, so he asked him to tell him everything he knew, and only then would he perhaps take pity. The officer replied that it was a black wolf who wanted to teach him a lesson, so he ordered them to come early to catch him. He also said that they would bring him into the building, and he would just need to make an arrest. The main character asked the police officer where he could find a black wolf. The police officer replied that he should be in the oasis at that time. Next, the main character told him that he would borrow his phone and realized that he was a dumbass, because the lack of recording was his biggest mistake. Although the ATM hall is under surveillance, this can only be seen as an attack. He also started calling and told the officer that he asked to stop right next to this ATM hall because it was equipped with the latest audio and video recording, and then asked him to stop pretending that there was no evidence of guilt. He called Zhang Xiyao, said who it was, and asked to get the CCTV footage because as far as he remembers, she is a reporter. She promised to immediately contact the bank and said that the report would be broadcast on the news tomorrow morning and asked not to go anywhere until she arrived. He replied that he urgently needed to go to a bar to catch someone, so they would see each other tomorrow. He approached the entrance to the desired bar and the guard stopped him and asked where he was going. He replied that he was delivering an order for the Black Wolf, who should be here now. He was asked to leave the food and leave. He agreed and apologized for disturbing me. After the main character left, one guard said that it was strange that the Black Wolf also ordered food from delivery. Another said he ordered quite a lot. The first one offered to go and give it to him. The main character thought that they were really very stupid for following every instruction of the Black Wolf. One of the guards went to the Black Wolf and said that the food he ordered had already been brought. The Black Wolf asked what kind of food delivery this was and why he should order anything at all. One of the girls next to him said that it was probably a mistake or a gift from one of his subordinates. After eating, Zhang asked the Black Wolf how much time this guy would receive and whether he would be sentenced tomorrow. He replied that there was no need for such a rush, because he would have to wait for the testimony of the big bear. They have already done this more than a dozen times, so you can be sure that he will receive from 10 years to the death penalty. Zhang asked who those people were. He replied that the list was quite long and that it included Mr. Zhao from Changfeng, the owner of Tomorrow Mining, the manager of Sliu Media, and many others. The Black Wolf asked why he was asking so many questions. Zhang replied that he didn't ask anything and didn't say anything at all. The Black Wolf asked if he was joking because it was clearly his voice. The voice then asked if this meant he was admitting that he was working with dirty cops to bring false charges against the undesirables. Zhang asked how this is possible and who imitates his voice like that. As it turned out, this was said by the main character using the Voice of Heaven 2.0 imitation skill. He further told them that now he understood why so much had happened to him lately, because it was them, the two losers. The Black Wolf ordered his subordinates to kill him, and he told the main character that if he came to die, then they would arrange it for him. Zhang told the main character that he was just in time, because his reputation had already been destroyed, and now it was their time to take out all the anger on him. Xu Liang told the main character that it looks like he was hit with something heavy, since he dared to come alone to the territory of the Black Wolf. But all these people who wanted to kill him suddenly fell to the floor and writhed in pain, while the main character calmly walked towards the Black Wolf. Zhang asked what happened, and why everyone fell without even getting close and whether he was a martial artist. Even Xu Liang felt pain. The Black Wolf understood and said his assumption that the food he brought here was poisoned. The main character said that time was short, so he had to go buy a laxative and add it to his food, and it seemed to work. Zhang asked him how much he added because the effect was too strong. The main character replied that it was a very small dose for cows, and if he added a little more, they would already be dead. Zhang asked if it was an animal laxative, trying to get closer to the main character. He pushed him away and said that his voice annoyed him. The Black Wolf told the main character that he turned out to be a vile boy. The main character responded that he was flattered and that he was simply treating him the way he deserved. Looking at the girl, he said that during the day she was an innocent schoolgirl, and now she was a butterfly from nightclubs. After that, he said that they would have a long conversation with the police. The Black Wolf said that he had no proof and that with his connections, he could destroy him. The main character said that he really doesn't seem to stop until he gets his way. After that, he played a tape recording in which he talked about the rush and the testimony of the Big Bear, and that they had already done this more than a dozen times. The next day, it was already said on television that the policemen had conspired with the mafia to substitute evidence for false accusations, and that more than 10 victims had been identified, as a result of which a criminal case had been opened. Next, Zhang Shiyao asked the main character on the phone why he decided not to talk about his role in this matter, because in that case, he would have been basking in the glory. He replied that for him, fame is water. She said that it was a good report anyway, and that she was in his debt. He replied that it was nothing, and that it would be enough for them to have dinner together that evening. She didn't understand why he wasted his potential working as a courier. Next, Director Diao called her to his office to discuss something. After she entered the office, he thanked her for her excellent work, because thanks to her report, views of their website soared by 300%. He also told her that when she came to them a year and a half ago, her work was mediocre, not to mention the fact that she offended many employees. But he himself pushed her to this, and since she did not break, he realized that I wasn't wrong about it. She thanked him for the praise and said that if that was all, she would return to work. He said that he had more good news for her, after which he said that the position of deputy director had been vacant for a long time, and he thought that she was perfect for this position. He also promised to provide her with the working conditions that she told him about. She thanked him for such an offer and said that she was refusing because she understood that there were people who needed this position more than her. He told her that in this case, she would not leave the office until she provided him with 10 articles. Next, he thought that if he didn't please her, then he would have to make her beg. Having received the next task, the main character had a question about who ordered him to go to the intersection right next to the road. Meanwhile, Zhang Shiyao asked her colleagues if they could hurry up since she was running late. She was told that there was no need to rush here, because this was painstaking work. The main character approached them and handed them their order, which they ordered. One of them said that waiting made the meat even tastier. Another said that he could not work on an empty stomach. The main character told her that these guys not only do not do their work, but also eat at her expense, and asked where their professional ethics are. She replied that these were masters chosen by the authorities and that she could only hope for their help. In addition, she personally drove the car after the tire was punctured, so if she didn't let them fix it, she would have to pay herself. He asked if she was in a hurry. She replied that she should be in the director's office by 2, so she had about half an hour. But driving a broken-down car is dangerous, and you can't rush in this situation. The system gave him the task of helping the reporter get to his destination, and also gave him the temporary skill of an automobile mechanic. After which, he said that if this was the case, he would do everything possible. After he started, her colleagues asked him to mind his own business, since he clearly doesn't understand anything about cars, given that he rides a motorcycle. The girl also did not believe in him. Less than 3 minutes had passed, and he was almost done, although it took her colleagues 40 minutes to even remove the tire. He asked where her meeting would be held. She replied that the meeting would be held at the convention center. He said the shortest route from here to there is 38 kilometers and that it takes about 45 minutes for regular drivers. She said that in this case, we can assume that she was definitely late for the meeting. He added that it would take 45 minutes for ordinary drivers, and if he was driving, it would only take 20 minutes. So he suggested that she sit in the front seat and quickly hit the road. Seeing that the car has a manual transmission, the displacement is 1.2 liters, and maximum torque 120 Nm, he realized that it was scrap metal. Colleagues began to run after the car and said that since they had not completed the inspection, their company would not be held responsible if something happened. The main character sped up and asked them not to worry, saying that nothing would happen. One of the colleagues asked how they would explain this to Officer Diao, since he asked to detain her until 14 o'clock. Another replied that they would not make it in time, even if they learned to fly. The main character said along the way that a nail did not get into the tire and that someone made it on purpose. She asked how he understood this. He replied that it would have penetrated 3 centimeters and would have blocked the air from escaping, but the tire was flat. She said that this was definitely her director, and that it was now clear why he said that he would fire her if she missed this interview. She realized it was a trap. He said that the director would be disappointed because she would definitely not be late with him. The director called her at 1:45 p.m. and asked if she had reached the convention center yet. She replied that she was still driving and that because someone had slashed her tire, she had to be delayed. He reminded her that this interview with Mr. Tang was very important, and if she was late, he would have to fire her. But if she came to his house in the evening and begged him, then perhaps he would not fire her. She hung up and he was angry and did not understand how she dared to do this. Seeing the traffic jams, she said that they would definitely be late even with him. He asked her to hold on and turned somewhere. She asked if he was crazy because it was dangerous. She asked him to stop and go back because this road was too narrow for them to pass. He was still able to get her there on time, and looking at the phone, said that it was 1:53 p.m., and given that it would take 5 minutes to get to the office, they had 2 minutes left, so she could still call her director. The director, after receiving a call, regardless of who was calling, said that he was sure that she would not risk her career, so he was waiting for her call. But then he heard the voice of Director Tan and said that he had already prepared documents for the promotion of his relative Chung. The main character said after the call that now everything is ready and he will no longer pester her. She asked if he had even heard Mr. Tan himself on TV before imitating his voice. Then they got out of the car. He told her that he would leave her car nearby and go deliver orders. She agreed and said that they would see each other in the evening. Meanwhile, some bad guys saw them, and one of them asked the boss whether to provide them alive or dead. The boss replied that he could not let him die after he caught his grandson, and in general after everything he had done. He said he wanted to make his life hell. Meanwhile, the main character got to his motorcycle and remembered that he had to go to the delivery soon, and he was hungry. Next, he saw a call from Xiao Zhang, and after accepting it, he heard that someone told him that he should not worry, because today he would not bother him anymore. He also said that they would meet under the Chang Bridge in 10 minutes and he should not be late, otherwise his girl would appear in the form of a dead body. After 10 minutes, the boss saw the delivery man and said that, as expected, he arrived on time. The main character told the old man that he didn't even know him, because there were no clashes between them. After that, he asked why he kidnapped this not quite his girlfriend. The old man replied that Zhang Zhang was his grandson, and the Black Wolf was his disciple. After that, he asked if he still thought that there were no clashes between them. The main character said that again this Zhang Zhang, with whom the problems had dragged on for a long time, asked what he needed. He understood that there were only a couple of guys here, so he needed to finish everything quickly. The old man replied that he wanted him to see her die at his hands and asked him to watch and not turn away. The main character activated his fighting skills and said that he would have to disappoint him and realized that such cases are becoming more and more common, so he needs to develop fighting skills. The old man said that he was stronger than he thought, and that now he understood why his student lost to him, but he also added that he was sorry that his tricks wouldn't work on him. Next, he suggested looking at other girls from his environment, who were also tied up and asked to be saved and released. He said that he would not advise him to make sudden movements, because someone would definitely die. The main character asked the old man what he wanted to achieve with all this. The old man replied that everything was very simple and suggested playing a game, the name of which he came up with himself, and it was called One Delivery. He further said that every 10 minutes he would give delivery tasks, and that in total there would be 50 of them. And if suddenly the task was not completed within 10 minutes, he would start cutting them with a knife. He sent the first task and said that he needed to hurry to complete it. The main character began the task and told the girl that he would definitely save her. The subordinate asked the old man what to do if he ran away. He replied that he would not run away, because he had met many people like him who consider themselves heroes, and in the end, they play to his tune and then die. Looking at the map, the main character saw that he could pick up food in the Jigyun district and take it to the Red Light Street. That one point was in the east and the second in the west, and realized that it might not take him 20 minutes to get there. He also realized that it looked like he had deliberately arranged everything so that he would not have time. The subordinate conveyed information that the main character delivered the order in 9 minutes 25 seconds, and said that he really only needed 10 minutes to do what others could not do in 30 minutes. The old man said that the difficulty should be increased slowly to keep it interesting. Seeing that the second order was even further away, he asked the system why there was no reward for these tasks. The system told him that these orders were made by fake buyers, so they were excluded from the system's definition. The main character realized that now it is not surprising that that person just reacted calmly, because it is for the reason that they are in cahoots. Having discovered a burst tire, the main character realized that this was one of the sneaky tricks. The system assistant saw that they were still making fun of the main character, and asked if he wanted to teach them a lesson. The main character answered in the negative and said that he was not interested in playing with small fry like them. One of the old man's subordinates said that the main character must have been angry since he decided to go on his own, after which he asked him to hurry up and report this to Lung, because this is great progress. He called and told the old man that they had punctured the main character's tire, and he, scared to death, was planning to run away on his own 2 feet. The main character, leaving by car, told the caller that he would leave the keys in the car. Seeing a delivery man in a Ferrari, The girl had a question whether in their time delivery is really so profitable that it is possible to deliver food in such cars. Then, after he came out and ran to deliver the order, the other delivery men said that they were his fans and that he was their favorite among the delivery men because thanks to him, many of their customers began to treat them politely. They even offered to help him deliver the order for free. He refused this offer, saying that he could handle it himself. He went on to say that even though he refused, they could do him a favor. The old man, meanwhile, said that they greatly underestimated him. Then he showed a phone with a map and said that in order to go through everything on the list, you need to run from the lower left corner to the upper right corner of the city, and for all this he would give him only 20 minutes instead of an hour. He also asked her if she thought that he could fly, because that was the only way to do it. Next, one of his subordinates called the old man and said that the main character dealt with this in time. The old man smashed the phone after that, saying that it was a useless piece of crap. Then he stopped being angry and said that this is very good because since he doesn't give up, he will accompany him to the end because today he should be exhausted. One of the subordinates further stated that he really did not know him because he did not check the status of the order after he received it. The main character gathered many delivery workers and asked them to disperse as widely as possible and pretend to be him, while he would send tasks to the order delivery group. One of them told him that sooner or later they would be exposed. The main character said that in this case he would take advantage of this precious opportunity and fight back. While other delivery workers began to fulfill orders, the main character understood that the key to getting out of this situation was the location where Xu Er and Meng Yan were imprisoned, and the only clue was 2 tablets with videos. He also understood that there is no network under the bridge, which means that they can connect from phones only using the station. Sending him the phone number and tasks, and using the station data, they can find video information and determine the location. By activating the computer software expertise skill, he was able to successfully hack the phone and locate the station, after which he proceeded to determine the location, and after some time he was able to do so. The old man saw that all orders were delivered on time and did not understand how this was even possible. Next, the old man had a question about how he could be on a motorcycle if he had a flat tire and had to be on a car. Suspecting deception, he asked to check the food he had brought. Hearing that the food was not at all what he ordered, he got angry and said that they all fell for the main character's tricks. He then decided that he would no longer play with Zhang Xiao and decided to kill her first and then finish off the others. While the old man was beating the girl, a subordinate conveyed information that the Iron Dog called and said that he had caught the main character when he was trying to protect 2 ladies. The old man took the phone and asked not to kill him but to bring him to him, because he wants to finish him off himself. It turns out that the main character was near the Iron Dog and forced him to say this. The Iron Dog, after completing the conversation, asked to spare him, because he did everything he said. Xu Er was very grateful to him for saving her. Meng Yun said that she was scared even after being rescued. He said that there was nothing to be afraid of anymore, because the bad guys were already gone. The protagonist had tapped their phone and he was already planning to kill Zhang Xiao, so he had to use this trick to stop it. The main character sat down after that and asked them to call the police and say that they were caught, while he would save Zhang Xiao. After he left, each of them said that he was her, and then they began to fight among themselves instead of calling the police. The policeman wondered when he saw these girls whether they were going to call the police or to argue. Meng Yun said that she was a minor, but already wanted a husband and asked if she was ashamed. Xu Er said that she has a young body and has wrinkles around her eyes. The subordinate told the old man that the Iron Dog was always cunning, which is why the main character got caught. The old man said that he knew this, but still said that he needed to be prepared. Next, he called the Iron Dog and asked if he would bring him soon. He replied that he was almost there, and the main character was able to jump out of the car and ran away. He drove him into an unfinished building, but there are not enough people, so he asked to send his brothers to help him. After this, the old man ordered 5 people to be sent to help the Iron Dog. 10 minutes later, the old man received a call and was told that the main character had fled to the vegetable market, but they had blocked all exits from the market. But there were still not enough people, so 5 more people were needed. After another 10 minutes, he was informed that they had almost caught him, but they needed 5 more people, and if they could not catch him, then one of them would bring him the head of an Iron Dog. After the call, the old man asked to take 10 people and order them to bring him the leg of the Iron Dog and the main character. 10 people came to the place and tried to tell the supposedly Iron Dog that they were there and that they didn't see anyone, but no one heard them. At that moment, the main character approached them and said that they didn't have to try because he had jammed the signal in this alley. The main character also told them that their boss is very generous. He asked to send 5 people, but he sent as many as 10, which means that he doesn't have much security left. One of them asked if he really imitated the voice of the Iron Dog and all the calls were from him. The main character asked if they were surprised. He replied that he would surprise his mother, after which they all decided to kill him as soon as possible. After the main character knocked out one of them with a ball, the rest had a question whether the ball was really iron, because otherwise there was no way to explain what happened. The main character activated the basketball master and invulnerability skills and invited them to play. One of them said during the game that in all his years he had never seen anyone fight with a basketball. After some time, he told one of them that he would ask, and he must answer, because otherwise he would regret it. He said that he could not hesitate to ask what he wanted while he was alive. The main character asked who Zhang Liaolong was and if there was anyone else behind him. While they were talking, the old man tried to call Lao Du, but it was useless, since the subscriber was temporarily unavailable. He realized that something was wrong here and that something most likely happened to Lao Du, and he decided that there was no point in waiting any longer, so he ordered the girl's tendons to be cut out. The subordinates agreed and began to carry out the order, but at that moment, a basketball flies into the car. The old man saw it and asked what it was. One of the subordinate people said that it seemed to be a basketball. He said that was nonsense because a basketball couldn't go through a car door. Then the subordinates tried to lift this ball and said that it was really unusual and seemed to be made of cement, because it weighed no less than 100 kilograms. Next, the main character approached them with an Iron Man, who told him that this old man was the main criminal who had killed 10 victims in 30 years and bought himself the opportunity to get out of prison. The old man asked Lao Du how he dared to betray him at such an inopportune time. The main character announced that today he is going to eliminate the threat to people. According to him, the police will be here in 10 minutes, but for now he will deal with it himself. The main character defeated all his guards, and the old man meanwhile grabbed the knife the girl and asked him not to come near him. The main character asked him how the mafia boss could stoop to such a degree that he began to kidnap women, because this is a pity. The old man said that he had hundreds of people under his command, and if he only gave a reason, he would kill the girl. The old man got into the car and ordered the driver to quickly leave. The driver reported that the car would not start. Next, the main character said that he felt sorry for them, because there was no need to make him angry. The old man asked what he was talking about and what he meant. The main character replied that he had hacked the machine's operating system and that now their lives were completely in his hands. When the car started moving, the old man asked the driver to brake, but it was useless, because the brake was also controlled by the main character. The old man told the main character that if he continues to play, he himself will kill his girlfriend. At that moment, the main character made such a maneuver that she flew out of the car. He further caught her and asked her forgiveness for getting her into this. The police arrived at the scene, and until that moment, the main character continued to circle the car with the old man. Later at the awards ceremony, the presenter announced that thanks to his courage, he bravely fought back the criminals, and also helped the police to detain them and bring them to justice. One of the viewers said that this guy did it and was able to master several skills. Another said that he was one of the best examples in the Eastern region, after which he asked to observe him more and invite him to the team. The main character said that in the morning he delivered more than a dozen orders, and even one system mission was not activated during this time. He even wondered if they were playing with him on purpose. The system assistant said that initially it was a fluke, but now that more orders are being delivered, he might get lucky and get a commission soon. The main character asked if he was making him angry on purpose by wearing sunglasses and grabbing a Coca-Cola. The assistant asked if he wanted to challenge to unlock a rank C quest, because after unlocking, the probability of activating the mission was higher, and the points would be higher. The main character agreed and said that he could have said this earlier, because for him there is no mission that he cannot cope with. 5 minutes ago, Shu Er asked famous outdoor survival blogger Dan Feng if everything was okay. He replied that he needed a little more time to drill the wood to start the fire. Meanwhile, he understood that he asked her on a date and planned to unite their fans, but he did not expect such a response, and the flint was lost and the lighter leaked. She said she couldn't stand it anymore because she was hungry, so she would order takeout now. He asked if she would really do it. She answered positively, and after some time added that no one took her order. He told her that being on a bare hill 30 kilometers from the city center at an altitude of 800 m without the internet, it was completely impossible to order food. But a little later she announced that this was still possible, because someone had taken the order after all. 40 minutes later, he told fans on camera that they had all clearly seen that drilling into wood to start a fire is not practical in the wild because humans cannot achieve sufficient speed with their hands alone. At some point, he began to succeed and a light with smoke began to appear. But the girl saw the courier and walked right to him, breaking the tree in which he was lighting a fire. The main character told her that she was very smart, because she went to the mountain where even the birds don't shit to order takeout. She rushed at him and said that it turned out that he had come to save her. He asked her to let him go because he couldn't breathe. Dongfeng asked him to put down his things and leave this place as soon as possible because there was a live broadcast here. The girl said that this was her friend and asked him why he was sending him away. While the blogger was asking if he knew anything about survival in the wild, the system gave the main character the strongest wilderness survival skill with a mission reward of 200 points. After this, the main character told the blogger that as a courier, he cannot accept his attitude towards his profession and, moreover, he is not an outsider. He went on to say that he also knows some wilderness survival skills that he can compare to his own. The blogger said that he was probably laughing at him and asked if all delivery people are so crazy. He also asked the main character to admit his mistake, after which today's incident would be over. The girl asked the main character not to compete with him because he has been surviving in the wild for many years, and if he really wants competition, then he can play games or basketball. The main character asked her not to talk nonsense and suggested moving on to discussing the competition. The blogger told viewers that they saw it, and that the point is that he is not bullying the little ones. It's just that this food delivery guy is too shameless. The blogger read the comments and then gave the phone to the girl and asked her to broadcast it live. She agreed. The blogger told the main character that since this is a comparison, he cannot do without a bet, and if he loses, he will have to bow to him in front of the public. The main character asked what would happen if he lost. The blogger replied that he would give up live broadcasting and further said that the 3 important things for survival are fire, shelter, and food, and he suggested starting by making a fire without a lighter or matches. He saw the materials next to them and said that this was quite enough. The blogger told the main character that he was saying loud words one after another, but so far there had been no action from him. When building the fire, the blogger thought that the girl's fans had grown to a high place, but despite this, in his opinion, their shame would end up on the internet. The main character was in no hurry to build a fire, but simply started untying his shoelaces. The girl asked the main character to quickly figure out how to make a fire instead of untying his shoelaces. The main character said that he had nowhere to rush, because the woodcutter would not miss sharpening his knives. The blogger looked at him, and the question arose whether he really knew how to start a fire with a bow. The blogger also remembered that although this method is very effective, it requires a higher level of skills, and without 5 years of training you can easily get injured. He also dreamed that this guy would bleed to death due to injury, because this would make his popularity even higher. After both of them lit a fire, the blogger asked after the defeat if he dared to continue the competition. The protagonist asked if building a shelter should be the next item. The blogger said that his best record was 8 minutes 24 seconds for setting up the shelter, and in this round no one can be faster than him, and this time he will lose. After these words, the blogger began to install the shelter and started with a log. The main character also began making a shelter, and he started with sheets. The girl asked the main character what he was doing. He replied that he wanted to build a shelter. She told him that his construction at this stage looked very terrible. The blogger confirmed it and said that it really looks terrible. The main character said that the main thing for survival is safety, not appearance. The main character said that the roof structure of his shelter can avoid rain, but in the place that the blogger built, the top part is not waterproof, and in addition, it is transparent, which will not protect against rain. Next, the main character said that if it doesn't rain in 30 minutes, he will accept defeat, but for now we can proceed to the third round, namely the search for food. The girl asked what they could find edible in this place. The main character replied that he doesn't know yet, but if he could find worms, he would go fishing among the mountains and catch fish. The blogger caught the snake and said that they would not die of hunger because it could be cooked. The girl asked if he was really going to eat it. The main character asked to get rid of this snake because it is now dangerous. The blogger ended up letting the snake go because he saw that he was being targeted by many other snakes who had come to the aid of the snake he had caught. Then he began to run away from all these snakes and they began to chase him in order to attack him. The main character asked not to run straight, but in a zigzag, because this way it is much easier to get rid of the pursuit of snakes. One of the snakes was still able to catch up with the blogger and bite him. The main character told the audience that they cannot blame him for accidents, because he did not start it all. The girl said that they were murderers and that she wanted to go home.